Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle rant. Today's topic, artificial sweeteners. I can't even believe how much negative publicity artificial sweeteners get on a regular basis. You would think that these things were knocking people off left and right. People were dropping dead, lawsuits, cancer. There's not been one single death attributed probably to overdose of artificial sweeteners. There certainly hasn't been any long-term chronic degenerative diseases linked to the use of artificial sweeteners, because if there was, they wouldn't be on the market. When things are poisonous or things do bad things to the body, the FDA pulls these things off the marketplace, right? They do recalls. Haven't had it in how many years? I mean, if you think about it, aspartame has been around for probably 40 years, in diet drinks. Nowadays, we tend to use more sucralose and ACE-K as the artificial sweetener of choice, especially I would say probably 99% of the protein powders that use an artificial flavoring system in order to keep carbs to almost zero use ACE-K and sucralose. Why? Because that's the best tasting ones. And sucralose, which is basically sucrose is a sugar molecule. When you remove or tweak it a little bit, you can turn it into what's called sucralose, which is almost 100 times sweeter than regular sugar, but the body doesn't recognize it, so it doesn't absorb it. So it just basically passes right through you. Aspartame, also known as Equal, if you ever bought the little blue packets, sucralose is the little yellow packets. That's the blue packets were called Equal, and obviously the other name for sucralose is Splenda when it's in the yellow packets. But the blue packet or the Equal or the aspartame, was in stuff for a long time, and that's actually just 2 amino acids, aspartic acid and phenylalanine. And so, it's literally 2 amino acids put together, they taste sweet. So there's been so many studies about, all the safety measures of these artificial sweeteners. And we pretty much, even though there's some people that would go think that they're the incarnation of the devil, most people have accepted that they're not that bad for you. But what people now are trying to drum up, at least, you read an article every once in a while, and this is what people think, at least the old wives' tales, urban legends, is that they cause insulin release, okay? So you take this artificial sweetener, it tricks your body releases insulin, you get fat from it, okay? That's just not the case, okay? It never was the case, okay? They do taste sweet, obviously, but in order for insulin to be released, blood sugar has to rise. So in other words, when the blood circulation goes through the pancreas and passes by the beta cells are basically a big glucometer. When they see that blood sugar is elevated, insulin is released, okay? You tasting something sweet in your mouth, okay, is not going to have any effect on your blood sugar in your bloodstream. Therefore, insulin won't be released. Now, that's just logical. I've been talking about this for years. Well, they did a study recently, okay, where they actually looked at the incretin hormones. The incretin hormones are glucagon-like peptide 1 and GIP. These are gut. These hormones are produced by the gut. They basically tell the intestinal tract to slow down. They also signal to the pancreas to release insulin. They do a lot of other things too. But for simplicity's sake, GLP-1 and GIP have an insulin potentiating or insulin stimulating effect in the body. So what they did was they said, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give 3 control groups. We're going to give one group, we're going to give them sucralose, which is the artificial sweetener. We're going to give another group regular sugar, sucrose. We're going to give another group nothing, okay? And we're going to check the levels of insulin, GLP, and GIP, okay? Because those other hormones can actually inhibit appetite and slow the gut down too. So they want to see if anything is being stimulated, not just insulin, but is this GLP-1 being stimulated? Are these artificial sweeteners triggering anything that normal sugar would really do? And as expected, it was as I expected, maybe not as everyone else expected, as I expected, the control group, nothing happened. If you just drink water, nothing happens. The group that was given sugar, sucrose, what do you think happened? GLP up, 1, GIP up, and insulin up, right? Why? Because Sucrose entered the bloodstream, raised blood sugar. When you raise blood sugar, those two incretin hormones are released, and insulin is released from the pancreas to bring the sugar down so the cells can absorb them. When they gave sucralose in different, I think they used 2 different doses, they found no increase in any of those incretin hormones or in insulin, which is what you expect because sucralose is not sugar. Okay, the body doesn't recognize it as sugar; it just passes through the body, and this is great validation for people who are dieting. There's a lot of guys and girls who are contest dieting right now. People ask me all the time, all my clients, hey, I heard you shouldn't drink any diet soda. You shouldn't, you can't use artificial sweeteners, you got to go to water. Because that's not true. Now, there are certain diet drinks that do have carbs in them. You got to be careful and read the ingredient list. Don't be a dummy. Just because they have sucralose in them or they have aspartame doesn't mean they also haven't added some fruit juice to it. So just read your ingredient list. But assuming it's like Diet Coke or something like that, or I'm a big diet ginger ale. I love it. I like Schweppes. I like Canada Dry because it's not too sweet, as they say in the commercial, which is the truth. 0 calories, okay, in there. There's 0 carbs, does not affect blood sugar. If I'm thirsty and I drink it, I don't get low blood sugar from it because it doesn't increase insulin and it doesn't increase any of these gut peptides. So I think what people have to do is just relax. If you don't want to drink or use artificial sweeteners because you have some kind of moral stance against them and you don't think that they're right, then don't do it. But don't try to condemn everyone else who uses them. Now, if you were going to take a whole carton of artificial sweeteners, if you had a huge jug of it and you started shoveling it in your mouth, okay, like an idiot, would you have some side effects? I'm sure you would. You'd have side effects from doing anything in excess like that. But when we're talking about the small amounts that are in protein powders to flavor them, or in fiber drinks, or in carb drinks, to make them a little sweeter, because a lot of the high molecular weight carbohydrates nowadays, they're basically flavorless because they're complex carbs. So we use artificial sweeteners to make them sweeter. All the energy drinks out there that are sugar-free, there's nothing wrong with the artificial flavoring system. Don't do it in excess. I have no problem giving them to my kids. I'd rather my kids drink a little artificial sweetener than guzzle tons and tons of sugar down. I will not let them drink regular soda. But if my son wants a couple sips of a diet ginger ale, I'm not going to have a nervous breakdown that he's going to have brain damage later in life. It's just not going to happen, okay? So while you're dieting, artificial sweeteners are an awesome tool to take away that sweet taste, sweet cravings that you have. If you're dying for something sweet, what's better? Have a real ice cream cone with real sugar in it, or have a drink of Diet Coke? I wonder what's going to cause more weight gain. Even if the artificial sweetener caused a little insulin release, which it doesn't, obviously, from this study, do you really think you're going to get fat compared to the amount of sugar you're going to get in a regular drink or a regular, ice cream sundae, whatever you're going to eat? Of course not. Don't be stupid, and don't believe the hype, and don't start listening to all these urban legends and all these folklore people. You know what? If you don't want to drink them, don't use them, but don't be afraid and don't put scare tactics into other people. There's nothing wrong with artificial sweeteners. They've been tested. No one's dying from them. They're going to be around for a lot longer, and hopefully they'll come out with a lot better ones down the road. I mean, when was the last time they created a new one? It's probably been 15, 20 years. To me, sucralose and ACE are pretty damn good, but I bet they come up with an even better one in the future. All right, I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle Artificial Sweetener Rant.